Okay, I want to say hello again, everybody, and welcome to another video here with me, Wushu Richard. Now, in this video, I would like to talk to you about a very famous person, okay, and talk about my thoughts on this person. A very famous person who died in prison. He was notorious, okay. He died fairly recently at the age of 80 something, I believe it was, over 80 years old. He was in prison for many years, most of his life, okay. He was known, he was a musician at some point, but he was known mainly or believed to be a conductor, somewhat a cult leader who got a group of young people who are said to be or thought to have been his followers, and basically he led people or inspired them to, or put the idea in their head to go out there and commit terrible murders, and they killed famous people such as Sharon Tate and other people. Now, his argument was always, if you've watched his interviews, I have actually watched Charles Manson's interviews over and over again over the years. I've studied them, I find them very fascinating. He was very entertaining in the way he spoke and very in his character, but I was actually brought in by his words. Myself, I try to be a very open-minded person, and I don't judge people. By that, I try not to have any opinion or mindset on anyone. It could be people who have treated me badly in life. It could be anyone, convicted killers or anybody. I am so neutral when it comes to that. My mind, I am somebody who believes in justice and morality and peace and value for all living human beings on the planet. I believe in peace and respecting and loving all life, okay? But I try to be as least opinionated, and I try to be, I'm not judgmental of anyone. I believe, it's about forgiveness, and with me, I don't mean we should forgive others, like, for anything. It's not about that. It's more so. Let me give you the example. Give you my basic take on this, okay? When I have this topic, if you bring this topic up, like forgiveness, like forgiving people, what kind of things do you think are forgivable or unforgivable? Okay, forgivable or unforgivable in life. Somebody may never forgive someone who's committed murders and killings, especially if it was someone you loved or someone you cared about, But for me, I've been treated really badly by people in my life, but I don't have this mindset of whether something's bigger or smaller, what they've done, or even forgiveness. I do not forgive acts of evil. Okay, it's not even about evil. It's not even about forgiving them. People's actions are their own, and we have our own mind to think, okay, we shouldn't waste it on anger and negative thoughts, right? Yeah. You get these murderers, you get these killers who do terrible acts, and then they're put in prison, for the safety of the public, whatever, or of course. But you get people that are put on death row, or things like that. They're sentenced to death. And everybody's like, yeah, that they're cheering on, like, good, they got their just desserts, got their revenge. But that didn't really do anything, really. It didn't, okay? They just feel that they got what they had coming to them, but I don't see it like that, I think the problem is in our mind as people. So when it comes to me, when it comes to forgiving people, that's really easy to me. Because it's not like forgiving someone for anything they do. I'm not saying like that, okay? Evil's evil and wrong's wrong, okay? But what I'm saying is, for me, is, okay, before we get onto the Charles Manson subject, hold on one second. Just on forgiveness alone, I'm just saying, for me, I see it like people that have a negative mindset, it's like they're insane. There's something wrong with their heads. There's literally something wrong and a problem with their thought patterns. Whether you say they're sick or whether they've been diagnosed or not, or mental illness or whatever by a doctor, but I'm just saying people out there are, I mean, all people think differently in terms of just the basic morality and everything. And today's day, what we're living in today, where everybody's accepting or not accepting yet unaccepting of all kinds of people, and all this political correctness that's going on, and yet people fighting about everything all the time. Well, we're living in a violent world where people are trying to make it okay to say something or think something or do something, and at the same time other things are not. And yet it's just a constant, where are we going with this? You know, the world seems to be going crazy anyway. We've got really good technology, but the world's going mad, right? It's going insane. It's insane. Do you really think the world's sane right now? Do you really think there's any hope for peace? And when do you hit the stop button? You know, it's just the record just keeps going. It's going to catch fire. And the voices are just getting demonic, man. And this thing's spinning around. You can't even work out what. You know, when was the last time we heard real music? Can I get a thumbs up for that at least? You know, can I get at least one more subscriber for that? I want to just say, okay, listen. The thing is, okay. You know, when it comes to that, so with me, I forgive people in that I don't forgive their acts. I mean, I definitely do not forgive ignorance either. I mean, people should be trying to at least own up, at least inside, because we can't lie to ourselves. We should be trying to find a positive way of doing better, being more positive in life, and making the world a better place for ourselves and for the future generations too. Yeah, my point of view is basically is this, okay? I'll forgive others on the fact that they're human beings, and that I just see it as there must be an insane blockage or something with their thought that I cannot solve or understand or change for them. Neither do I have the power to do that. Or the standpoint to do that for them. Other people have their own minds and they do what they do, and they've grown up, they've had different backgrounds and whatever. Now, your background, past and everything, and your upbringing is no excuse to be carrying out. I don't see we say, like, because of yesterday we had today, and because of today we have today. And maybe your dreams do pull you on into the future, right? Thinking about the future. But what I'm saying is, I don't see it like the past, ever our past, or the past of other people's actions in the past. I don't see that as an excuse for us to be a certain way today. Neither do I see, like, you treat me a certain way, so I'm going to treat you a certain way. I don't do that. I treat everywhere, the way I see someone or treat someone, positively or negatively, or show ignorance or show interest, that's all down to me. It's all down to me. If someone's rude to me and I'm rude back and I get really angry about it, maybe understandable, but it's still down to me. If I look at someone for being on the street, homeless, and I say, that's a lazy guy, or I just look down on them, that's down to me. If I look at someone who, for anything, it's being judgmental, I don't do that, okay? I do not do that. And it's the same as, someone's got to be kind to you or friendly towards you and speak the way you want to speak and say the things that make your day, better if you hear them, someone gives you what they want and then you start to show respect. No, I've told you before, nobody needs to earn my respect. You don't need to earn my respect. I say maybe you may need to regain my respect if you lose it, but then if you do lose it, it's still bad on my part. It doesn't mean I should forgive you if you kick me in the nuts or put me in hospital. It's not the point. I'm saying it's still, think about what happened to, there's been people in history, you can talk about famous figures like Jesus and his supposed stories, and Jesus and various monks and people that, I've heard a story about a karate master who never lifted a finger on these thugs who he just allowed to beat him up. He didn't even block or didn't show any kind of retaliation because you see what I'm trying to say? There's things like this where people are so strong in their mind that they're so forgiving and so endlessly, kind. They will never retaliate. They will never act negative as their enemies. You don't become hatred because you're faced with hatred. You know what I mean? But I do believe we need to defend ourselves. Don't stand there and be a kicking punch bag for people. No damn way, okay? If you need to fight for the defence and the protection of life and peace and love for the earth, do it. That's right. That's how I see it. That's how I just think myself, okay? Now, let's get on to the main point. So I've talked about my views on forgiveness and everything, okay? You know, zero forgiveness when it comes to pure evil deeds. But what I'm saying is forgiveness for all people and acceptance for all people that their minds have a mental problem of it. That's what I'm trying to say. So there's no point in me worrying about it. It's like, how can we deal with this problem? How can we prevent it, or how can we help these people to get on the right track, right? But now let's get on. We're like 11 minutes in almost. Let me get on to the main topic now. Charles Manson, right? I've been talking about Charles Manson. I've spoken about Charles Manson to friends of mine online, and a lot of people, most people, I don't know anyone much who will agree with me or support me in what I'm saying. They just turn around and say the same thing, like, he was a maniac, you know, he was a leader, a cult leader. He got people to do terrible things. He was smart. He knew more than what we know. He may have spoke nice and all the rest of it, but, you know, behind that we can see that he's clever and he knew he was manipulating people. And I know that's a thing. I mean, I've been bullied. I've been mugged. I've been bullied when I was younger. People can have their way in manipulating certain things, and even if you say, well, the victims are the weak ones, it's because they don't have the confidence in their minds to stand up and to this bully or avoid them. They just follow blindly. Well, what are you going to say about those people? I'm not just saying that they may have had their problems. They was on drugs, or they were just young kids at the time, young teens, just with family issues, and yeah, they followed the only person who seemed to reel them in with a seemingly like a vibe about him that they could trust, this Charles Manson. People are always looking for guidance, and that's what happens with a lot of like young people who fall into gangs and stuff. They don't find the love at home. Some of these gang members in the world today, they find there's more love in the gang that they join and more acceptance than anything else. There's no acceptance in society for finding a job or anything like that, and they just fall into the wrong hands. But the thing is, the weakness is inside themselves because they follow the wrong people. Now, I'm not trying to blame those people. Some of them may have been threatened. We don't know. How do we know? I don't know. We don't know if they were actually threatened with physical harm by Charles Manson, okay? And if he was manipulative like that. A lot of people would believe that he definitely was manipulative and what he must have done, and that we're just talking here. It doesn't even help. It doesn't even help the world really to be talking about people. We've got to do good in ourselves. Now, I'm going to explain a few things just quickly, okay? I see a lot of greed in the world. I see a lot of greed, and I see always people are trying to do this. They're like prostitutes. They're buying and selling themselves all the time, and they're always trying to, make something off of famous people or people that are well known. They'll shit on you to help themselves. Most people are like that, and who think they're important. People like this in the daily life that you'll meet as well, sadly. And a lot of people have minds that if you knew the thoughts of people, I think you'd be sick, because I think there's a lot of unstable people in the world, period. But listen, the main thing I want to say, okay, is with me, when it comes to Charles Manson, I've studied a lot of his, studied in depth. I've re-watched them over and over again and listened to this man who sometimes babbles on and all that. And I know he babbles, but I'm just saying, I think there was more there. And what I keep saying is, what I've said basically is, like, when you listen to the man, everything he says to me, about 95 to 99%. 95 to 99% of what he says, okay, apart from when he speaks of certain things, but most of the stuff, 99 almost percent, right? He's like really talking about peace in the world. If you watch the interviews and listen to all of his audio talks and all of his interviews and everything, okay, you can find an album online. You should be able to find an album, okay, of interview talks with Charles Manson, and it's called Manson Speaks. Okay, Manson Speaks. Listen to that in full if you can, especially the first few tracks. And also, if you watch all of the interviews, okay, of Charles Manson, all the videos like I do, and watch them over and over again, get that judgmental idea out of your mind and whatever. My point is this, okay, I listen to what someone says. Now, everything he says to me seems to be spot on, most of it. The world is messed up. It wasn't back years ago and it is now today. It's not getting any better. All there is corruption, lies. The world's based on greed. They're trying to dumb you down like a machine, especially the young people now on the tech and whatever they can get people addicted to. Yeah, technology is great and everything, but I'm just saying, people in general are just dumbed down. They're enslaved, and they'll buy and sell you like you're worth nothing. Every generation is becoming the next. It's just worthless. It's like toilet paper, okay? And he was basically saying that. You can see he was kind of stressed out with the way that the world it was and is today, and how it was treating people. But people see like he's just talking. But people watch those interviews and back then, and they say, "Look, man, you led those innocent young people to do terrible things." And he turns around and says, "Well, no, they did what they want and what they felt was right. He didn't have any control over them." And he's trying to push off the responsibility like it was all in their hands. He didn't do anything. Now, I don't know of any more stories of if he actually did kill anyone or not with his own hands. But that's regardless. I'm not talking about that, okay? I'm just talking about the fact that they keep saying that he was the cult leader and got these people to kill certain people. What I'm trying to say is I'm not talking about any of that. I'm not talking about the crimes he did or the crimes he didn't do, or if he manipulated those people and threatened them to do what they did, or if he had no hand. I'm not talking about his guiltiness or his innocence in anything he did. I'm just talking about this guy, this man, as in the words I hear him speaking. And then you say, well, he doesn't believe in any of that. He knows a lot more in his mind. No, but it doesn't matter what the next gangsters think, the next bully or the next lying asshole who's in your life. The most important thing is you don't follow people like a blind person. And you're not even supposed to follow people and think, even worrying about people like that makes you make yourself the slave of these people. It's not about trusting just anyone. It's not about trying to talk about them like as if their mind has got some kind of control over you. You've got to be strong and try and focus and try and stay on the right path yourself. And we've got to make this world a better place to live in, right? Now, what I'm talking about is when you hear and you listen to the words, what Charles Manson's saying in most of those interviews, it can sometimes get cuckoo and hard to understand. But if you listen to what he's saying, really, and don't think about it like it's Charles Manson, even though it is, I know, hold on. But if you do listen to what he says and just look at these scumbag, ignorant interviewers and people trying to make money of him, I don't care who it is, even this Geraldo guy now who's in the news talking about him again, or like a year ago. I'm just saying, whoever though, forget about all that, who was trying to use who, and forget about if he was guilty or not for the crime. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about him as a person. But I'm saying the intelligence, yes, that is coming out in what he was saying in all of those interviews about how the state of the world and how people are treating people in the whole, and how nobody really gives a damn. If you think about it, listen to it carefully and think about it, that's true, right? We're not talking about what he thought, what he was actually thinking behind those words, or what he knew, or what he did or didn't do even. We're just talking of the problem. See, when I'm watching those interviews, I'm not hearing just Charles Manson. I'm looking at it like everybody else. That's what it's about. What are we doing? So if you would have turned around and say that everything he said there is wrong and all of that, just because you're looking at him like a convicted criminal, that's not the point. We shouldn't be distracted by anything. So I'm saying we should not let other people's doings distract us. We should do the right thing. That's what it is. If you can protect someone, protect someone. If you can teach people, teach your kids, about morality and stuff. And if we can make peace and help the next generation, if we can be more responsible, then that's good. We can put more peace. And if we can do more good ourselves in the world, that's going to make the world better. But if you keep shitting on your fellow human beings and crapping on the world, you're only going to bring up people. No matter how people are, we can't do everything, but we shouldn't be putting the message out there of ignorance and greed and all of that, because that's just going to not bring up any intelligence at all, and violence has no mind. So I'm not trying to say I'm clever or smart here. I'm just saying, when I watch these interviews, I'm not standing up for someone who may have killed people or may have conducted what was it called, manipulated people's minds as such and got them to do things. I don't know if they did, if he did or didn't, but everything he was saying in those words is true. Let's just say, for example, it could be Charles Manson sitting there in those interview rooms, or it could be somebody else. I know the fact is that it's him, I know, but I'm saying if it was, so for example, if, and I'm not being funny, if it was somebody else, anyone there, any human being, and that if they really were innocent, okay, and you're going to carry on like that. But see, ignorant people won't say that. They'll say, oh yeah, if. No, you just don't get it. I'm treating you this way for the very fact that you are a banana or whatever. No, it's not the fact. I won't treat a banana like an apple. I won't treat a person nastily, no matter how they are. You know what I mean? If someone puts their hands on me, I'm going to have to defend myself, right? But I don't like to get into stupid arguments with people. I don't judge people and look down on people. And I have forgiveness, not for people doing violent things, but forgiveness in people have got mind problems and they may need help. Now back to the main point, just quickly to finish up on this, okay? When I'm talking about the videos with Charles Manson, okay, that you may have heard me talk about before, especially friends of mine and anybody watching here, I'm not standing up for convicted killers or convicted or not, I'm not standing up for violence. I'm saying that, listen to the words that were said in those interviews with Charles Manson. You're talking about we need to respect and love the world and all, you know, and all the problems that there are in the world. You can't turn around and say that's not true. Look at where we're at today. It's even much worse today. So do we need to deal with this problem? Can somebody else say it? Does it have to be a convicted killer talking about it? Can't we just wake up and start living better and living right and doing and treating the world better? Or does it have to be me trying to use his words from a convicted, one of the most notorious or the most notorious supposed killer or cult leader, you know, regardless of if whatever was true or not, if he was innocent or guilty. But I've got to use this guy's words, and then you've got to see. If I said Michael Jackson said this, or if I said to you, Bill Cosby had some great philosophy, you know, for living a better life, straight away you're going to turn that around and say, you're not biased, you're not discriminative or anything. Well, yeah, that's what you say, but you'll turn it around and say, oh, Bill Cosby, man, that pervert. You see what I'm saying? Well, how about other people in the world? There's a lot of negative people, or Trump or whoever, yeah? So this is the problem, see, the problem is we're too ignorant. You're not talking about people and their problems and how you can forgive or not people, or what is or isn't. The problem is, what the hell are you doing to make this world better? That's what I'm saying. So listen to all that is said. Do not be ignorant of anything. Even listen to your enemies, listen to the people. I don't want to say listen to the people you hate. You shouldn't hate anybody. But listen to it all. I don't mean listen and follow, and then you call them the leader. I'm saying, you know, because he led your kids or he led somebody, you lead them yourself, you know, try and help them. But the point is, you're always trying to be the leader. You're always trying to, you just follow the gang. If you're part of the gang, you're all going to be the leader. And you start fighting amongst each other. And there's a lot of violence in the world. And then the poor people start retaliating. And there's a lot of problems in the world. And it comes from a lack of honesty and a lack of humbleness, you know, to own up, where the focus is not on people's problems and who's a piece of shit and needs to rot, or how many times you should slap the child because they were rude to the mother. No, you see what I'm saying? Yeah, no matter what, you know, it's not the case. You've got to. There's a way of dealing with things, you know. But the most important thing is you've got to get yourself in control. So what I'm saying is, when I listen to those interviews, I'm listening to the words that were said as though the words were written on a wall and I don't know who said them. Do you believe in those words? But because somebody tells you Charles Manson said it, or Bill Cosby said it, or Trump said it, or Michael Jackson said it, straight away you're going to have your own take on that. Oh, if that, you know, why should I listen to him? It's not about why should you listen to him, you know. If you found out God said it, or some alien creator, then you might start bowing down for it. Or if you found out your mother said it, all of a sudden it's okay, yeah? Yeah? Would you really, are you telling me you'd wish the same kind of, people are different, but would you personally ask yourself certain things? Would you wish the same kind of punishment on every single person for the same acts? You were saying that everybody is different and their mind's different. But I'm saying, this is the thing, you see why. Why do you treat certain people differently in certain ways? This is the point. And this is what seemed to be very, you know him, he was intense, that Charles Manson in those courtroom or those interviews, and he was always putting across these messages. He was saying that everybody else is so ignorant in the world, and we have so much problems in society, and everybody's saying it. Look at this guy, this little guy. He's leading and manipulating people. He's carried out these crimes. He's got them to do crimes. He thinks he's smart. And he's carrying on like he's got the swagger, when he really just seems like he's got a bit uneasy, right? He's like on the edge, like a young kid, really, like mentality. Whether he was smart or not, still, he was just this simple little guy growing older in prison. And everybody is here just saying, look, he wants to blame the world. Fuck this little guy to hell. Whether or not whatever he did, that's not the point. The point is, did you hear anything he said, or was you just painting the words, putting him down? I'm not protecting him for anything. I'm just saying, right? If some convicted killer or some maniac drug addict in the most, maximum security lockdown prison, or some maniac, some psychopath cannibal, if someone came up to you, or it's come up to you or to your kids and told them, and this maniac, if they were to say to you, stop drinking so much, it's bad for your health, start doing some exercise, it's better for your health, study hard in college, are you telling me that you wouldn't listen because whatever he says, fuck him, he's got his own? No, right? Are you just that ignorant? It doesn't matter what it is. All knowledge is worth. You've got to follow a positive path, or you've got to create a positive path in your life. You don't need people to have to tell you this or that. It's not about your ignorance, and it's not about who follows who. You can't keep going around trying to be a leader, that's right, of everybody, and trying to drag people around. It's not about how you can use people and be a slave and punch off people either, and try to work your way up, stepping up the steps, like stepping on people's heads. It's not the case. No. If you shit on the world, if you shit in your house, it's going to stink. Okay? And it's going to stink for the next generation. Okay? So don't keep throwing stones in a glass house as well, That's the same thing to say. But, respect your life, So do I respect Charles Manson for the things he said and about valuing and protecting? Yeah, I do, regardless of if he believed it or not, or regardless of whatever else he did. What time he scratched his ass, what time he stole a banana from a fruit stall, when he stole a record or a guitar or a car. I'm just making up hypothetical stuff. And regardless of if he did kill someone or got someone to do this, regardless of if he farted in someone's funeral or whatever, okay? I'm saying the words that were said, even if he believed in them or not, those words, they seem right, protect the world. What is wrong with that? But the problem is ignorance. You don't hear what people say. People in life anyway, you go around and you ask people questions and you don't hear them when they're answering. You butt in the middle. You ask someone a question, you don't even look into their eyes. You look at it like you're looking at yourself. You rather look in the mirror and you say to the people, oh, what do you think? What do you think about this or that? You know what it's like. Must have had it happen to you before too. And then you ask them, or someone asks you, and then the other person goes to answer, and then you butt in, or you listen to their part, and then you say, well, that's very good, but and you start to give them your explanation of why they are wrong. So if you know the answer already, why the hell are you asking them? And why are you talking so much? It seems like you're trying to win people, trying to sell yourself to get people to believe in you, like you're on the stand now. Man, when you're on the top, sometimes there's nowhere else to go. You can only keep going, so you're always below. There's always a neutral thing. You can't get everything in life anyway, so just chill out, relax, let's work together and just make this a wonderful experience. We're here as human beings together anyway. I see videos online of gangbangers and people walking around their hoods and talking about what they grew up with, all the violence and stuff and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, why have we got to be violent? Why have people got to go around and hate each other and fight each other? I don't care if it's a rich nation, a poor nation, whatever's happened in history and violence and discrimination and racism and all this or whatever, like racism or religious wars. People are always just at each other, fighting in families, abuse, people that have been abused in the past. There's a lot of things. The world's fucked up. There's cruelty to animals too. That makes me fucking angry, okay? Really angry. There's so much stuff we could talk about. And technology is good, yes, but we're human beings. We should start learning peace and not only just to live as part of nature. Be logical. People that inspire me, I mean, there's people you can listen to. There's many characters. So I listen to Charles Manson's interviews and I find his words interesting.
It's like other people, other characters, and like that wonderful artist, okay, the artist Bob Ross. He's a really famous artist. He's not alive anymore, but his words also bring people in. Some people who were not artists, they just were brought in by listening to his words. Some people have a certain character about them and their words, but the moment you turn around and say, "Oh, Bill Cosby's a pervert," or whatever, or so and so thinks this, you know what I mean? I listen to people. Hear me out. I listen to people. Okay, like speakers online. It could be anyone. The videos you see online of like these different organisations from different groups and things, and you get like I've seen black people who believe there was a one particular black man in a video who said he believes all white people should die and go to hell with their babies, and he's happy when he sees a white homeless person, and he believes and he wishes death upon all white babies. He believes, this is this guy's opinion, right? And you get all kinds of people on there, and other things too. I've been watching other things. Another video I watched with the Israelites and stuff like that. And a lot of them guys also have had like some hatred towards white people, it seemed to be. But I'm not going to turn around and say this or that. It's not because I can't. What I'm trying to say is they're talking about the history and then the enslavement of their people and certain things. But you see what I'm saying? My tolerance and my thing is like, I will still actually listen to people when they're talking and hear everything else he's got to say, regardless of what I can understand or not. I'm not going to be ignorant. I've got my life's a big question mark. I'm open to new knowledge and improving and living better. If you're ignorant, no matter what race you are, if you're ignorant and you don't want to do better and you don't want to communicate with nature and your fellow human beings, that's the fucking problem. That's what the problem is. So I don't give a shit. I don't care what people say about anyone else, regardless of what race or my people or England or my family or directly to my face. You can call me anything you like, because I know myself. That's nothing, it's your opinion about things. But I'm going to take all the knowledge from the good and the bad, the positive and negative, and I'm going to use it the best I can within my single power as one human being to make good for myself and be a shining light for the rest of the world, to try to make this world a better place and try to help people to feel good about themselves. If people disagree with what I say, anything, fine. At least you're inspired now to not give up. You're going to do something better for yourself. You see what I'm trying to say? I've got no hate for anybody. I'll make communication with anyone from any race, any background, okay? I've been living in China for so many years. It's a totally different culture, but I try to communicate with all people. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what background you've had growing up, the mistakes you've made in your life. Yeah, they happen. Yeah, we've got to learn from them. That's your own problem. I've got my own problems in life, right? It doesn't matter what it is, laziness, education, money, whatever, or that attitude you're in now, you're about to punch me in the face or whatever. But the thing is, life either goes on or it doesn't. There's too much killing and violence and hatred in the world anyway. End of. There's people in prison. Some people are in prison for nothing too, like, wrongly convicted and stuff as well. But all this is wrong. That's what I was saying. We need to do better. We can do better than this. So next time you watch anything, think about what you're watching. Well, think about it. What can you do? What kind of information do you have in your head? What the hell are you thinking? What are you going to do tomorrow? Live like a robotic slave to society, or are you going to do something better rather than moaning about it and getting together with people who like moaning about things? That's no good. So I think he had a point. Charles Manson had a point. You listen to what he says in the thing. Just hear the words, and regardless of what he did, and regardless of all that or whatever his story was, think about this whole world. Is it right to just be ignorant? Oh, that's bad. I'm gonna ignore that. Would you do that with yourself? We do that with ourselves all the time. We ignore our own problems. So what I'm trying to say is, turn the light on and be positive. Thanks for watching. Okay, train hard and stay safe. It's me, Wilshire Richard. Support and love life. That's what I'm saying. Thanks for watching. Peace.